Well, hello, CBA Toastmasters, and congratulations on 50 years as a club. Many great years of history, and hopefully, you'll have many more to come. Somebody reached out to me probably a week or so ago to see if I'd give a comment here on a video to do with something about CBA Toastmasters, and the idea was maybe something along the lines of my experience with having been in that club for quite a number of years. I joined the club just to give it context here, I joined the club in 2010, and I was either heavily or somewhat involved with the club until 2019. So it was a good run, and yes, I did gain a lot from the club, and I wanted to cover off essentially several areas of importance. The first one would be going back to the time that I joined. I had looked at several clubs and I settled on CBA Toastmasters based on partly the time of the week when I was available, and also partly to do with the inspiration that I found visiting there as a guest, which is an important point, I think, because how we present ourselves as a club will affect whether a guest would be interested in joining that club. And I kind of knew why I wanted to join, which was that I lacked confidence in a public setting. I liked the idea of seeing somebody be able to confidently speak on a stage or even at a social gathering and not become flustered as I would. And that was what really got me into the seeking of the Toastmasters idea, because I'd heard about it and I had visited other clubs. I'll tell a little story about what really gained me that point of saying, yes, I'm going to join this. Among the many people who were in that club at the time back in 2010, I'm not going to just single out one in the absence of others, but just for the interest of time, I'll just focus on one. There was a guy named James McKay in the club at the time, and he was generally kind of quiet, as I think he was in his final days of Toastmasters. He'd been in Toastmasters for many years, but he did several speeches. One when I was a guest, if I remember correctly. To say that I was blown away was maybe not correct. I think I was somewhat intimidated, but also somewhat blown away, because he was able to do a speech in a very eloquent manner, with humor, with eye contact, with some sort of response from the audience. He was able to walk the stage, and I was spellbound by his ability. And the thought in my mind that I could possibly do something like that was a bit unreal. I really had to reach down into myself and realize, maybe I have limited thoughts, maybe I have inhibitions, maybe I have which I knew I did, but it was really one of those moments where I was seeing something that looked unreal for me. Yes, I could see that it was real for him, but it looked unreal for me. But it didn't dissuade me, so I carried on. I don't think I never got to the level of James McKay, because I'm not James McKay. He had his own style. But nevertheless, that was one of those pivotal moments, and we all have them, I think, when we decide to do something, take a change or a different course in our lives. We all have those moments where, if we think back, that's it. That's when I made the decision. And it wasn't at that time. It was later on that I realized how appropriate the club was for me. It was in my discovery of the club mission statement. The club mission statement, I don't know if it exists anymore, so I might be talking history now, because when I was in 2019 was kind of the end of the old way of doing things, which was to do with books, and everything was done in the club on paper. And we had this thing called the CC manual, which was the Competent Communicator manual. It was the main core of the public speaking side. And then we also had the Competent Leader Manual. Well, at the beginning of the Confident Communicator Manual was a mission statement, and a mission, of course, is where we're going, right? And we want to know what our destination is. So this mission statement certainly spelled that out, and we got to the point near the end of my days with CBA Toastmasters of reading off the mission statement at the beginning of the meeting in order to help people to see what we're up to, remind ourselves rather, and guests to see it. So I just want to read it through as a reminder for myself of how good it was, of course, and also in case some of you are unaware of it, you have it there, right? So it says that we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. How succinct is that? I mean, I wanted to have a supportive environment. And it wasn't just James McKay. There was many people in that club who were, maybe one of them speaking today, Alice Sears. I remember Alice Sears as an example of somebody who was there with a depth of knowledge and a sort of a depth of empathy for those who are coming in who didn't have the skills and the experience that they had, this willingness to be supportive and share. And what I learned from reading this over and over again is it wasn't as much of a public speaking club as I was led to believe. Because if we look at that after that final comma, it says resulting in. So in a mission, we want to go somewhere. So where do we want to get? Where do we want to get? We want to get to greater self-confidence and personal growth. That's what I wanted. And also the other thing that just to leave with a tidbit here, we used to do these leadership training courses, and we would have these breakout sessions, and especially in the membership side, which I love the VP of Membership and VP of Public Relations, we would ask people who had been in Toastmasters for years, why did you join? Why did you join? We'd go around and we'd pick out the points, like give us 3 points as to why you joined. And what we would consolidate all that, what we found over and over and over again was the single biggest word that would come out was confidence. It wasn't public speaking, it was confidence. But public speaking was the exercise in which we did, just like the guy going to the gym to use the weights so he can get stronger. We would use public speaking and leadership training to get to that greater self-confidence. The second point is club organization. Maybe my narcissism sometimes, I wanted to be able to have group discussions. And it was another reason why I joined Toastmasters. So I had this idea of creating a forum in which people could come together and share ideas on improving the quality of their lives. And I developed a thing called Coffee Chat, which ran for years in Saskatoon and other places as well, which was a gathering of people where we'd have discussions on sort of life hacks and goings on in the world and ways of developing ourselves as well. It's not only the world, but ourselves. A lot of it was ourselves and how to develop ourselves and share what books are we reading. We'd have a topic of the night and so on. And I had to facilitate these things, and I had to organize it. So what I learned through Toastmasters in the leadership side was very helpful in that. That's the second point. And the third point, which was kind of how I wrapped up my Toastmasters career, if you will, was in the whole coaching side of things. I had the good fortune of being able to coach several clubs, one of which was CBA Toastmasters. And we took it because all clubs, just as a sidebar, all clubs, they go through their ups and downs. So don't be discouraged if you see your club going into a down phase, because that just means you have the opportunity to bring it back, which is my greatest experience in Toastmasters, was being involved in the rebirth or the revival, shall we say, of CBA Toastmasters. And it was in a definitely quite a decline, and I think it was maybe 2017, I think. And we were able to invigorate through an executive group and myself as the coach. We were able to breathe life back into it, and it grew, and it became, I would say, probably the most vigorous and energetic and maybe numerous in terms of club membership club in the in Saskatoon, and that was a real joy to be able to be involved in that, and it was a good stepping off point because I had to move out of town and do other things for my family and my life and so on. So yeah, I would say, you know, the confidence that I built, that's why I joined. I joined for the same reason that many people joined, and I saw that confidence on the stage, and that was inspiring. So, and club organization is a powerful one. I learned from there because I needed that, and just the coaching, which I really enjoyed, not only the club but the individuals in the club. And I wouldn't I'd never want to change anything from that experience. It was a blast, and I also learned that I got out of it what I put into it, like how much involvement I got in it. I had my gripes about Toastmasters and so on. There's always things that you want to change, but it was wonderful. And once again, folks, yeah, happy anniversary, 50th anniversary. I wish I could be there. I'm way, way, way out of town, so I won't be. But at least through this video, maybe I'm there in some ways. All right, talk again soon. Bye for now.